Our lives are laid out on a road of bumps, turns, struggles, and more. How do we respond? How do we endure adversity for learning and growth? I'm Aubrey Johnson, and we'll explore these questions and more on the Road to Rediscovery. Hey there, everyone. We're live, broadcasting live this special episode, the bicentennial. What a milestone. We've hit 200 episodes right now. As you know, my name's Aubrey Johnson, and I am the creator and host of the Road to Rediscovery podcast. And this is streaming live. So if you follow the Road to Rediscovery on Netflix, or not Netflix, I don't know why I have Netflix on the brain, but if you follow Road to Rediscovery on LinkedIn, if you follow it on my Facebook group and on YouTube, you should receive a notification saying that we've gone live, along with a link where you can click on to see it here. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of I'm going to ask you to give me a little bit of grace, okay? And the reason why is because this platform that I do use for recording interviews with amazing guests that I have had and continue to have, I've only had maybe 2 or 3 live broadcasts in the past. And so, it seems quite intuitive, but I may have to stumble a little bit as far as maybe getting comments or welcoming comments, because from what I understand on this live platform, you can feel free to add comments. You may be able to add comments or maybe even chime in, call in. So just give me a little bit of grace on that, and we'll get through it. We will get through it. Have some very, very cool things to share with you about the podcast, about this 200th episode, and I'm so glad for those of you who are able to join me today. I'm so glad that you have taken time out of your busy schedule to join me. Now, a couple times I may look off camera to see live feeds and things like that. Okay, so like right now, I'm I'm going over to the comments section. Okay, there we go. All right. So, I don't know what to say. I'm just floored. I can't believe how fast the time flies when it comes to just, I don't know, you put your head down and you're focused on work. You're focused on engaging with people. You're focused on just just doing your small part to build to a bigger cause, something greater than yourself, right? Trying to contribute to help change the world for the better. Uh, just touching people, touching their minds, showing compassion, respect, just again, doing our part to make a change for the better in the world. That's all I'm trying to do. And to have a platform for amazing guests who want to do the same thing, right? People who make themselves vulnerable and quite transparent about their own struggles, all in the name and spirit of helping other people who are struggling. If we all just did that one by one by one, exponentially, can you imagine how much it would grow in the world? I mean, it really would. It really would. So like I said, some of the platforms, I'm connected on 3 platforms for this live stream: YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, my Facebook group. Okay. So again, if you follow me on any one of those, you should have received a notification that the show is now live. And we're going to talk a little bit, about the show, some of the past guests, what's in the future for the Road to Rediscovery. And, I ask you, as I'm going to ask you this now, and if you're able to type it in the chat, please feel free to do so. Okay. Here is my question to you. What is your road to rediscovery? That's what I'd like to know. If you throw them in the chat, I will shout them out. And if you don't have the opportunity to chat, then send me an email. Road to Rediscovery Podcast at gmail.com. That's Road to Rediscovery Podcast at gmail.com. All right. We see a couple comments coming through. Fantastic. And as that's happening, you know, feel free to think about what is your road to rediscovery. All right. Again, I want to thank you all. I want to thank all the well wishers for your thoughtful comments, your feedback. Just love, all sorts of love and thoughtfulness pouring into this podcast, this show, its message, its mission. Really appreciate just all the great wishes for this milestone. We're not just reaching the 200th episode, this year in this week. We are also reaching the 5th year in existence for this show. It started in spring of 2018, and here we are at 2023, still going strong with 200 plus guests. And we'll go into some of those noteworthy guests. I just want to point out to you. All right, so let's talk about how the podcast started. Okay, and most of you may know this, but I'm not going to dig too deep into this. Just want to share for those who may not know. The Road to Rediscovery was originally a blog that I started in 2013, and this blog was just a way for me to kind of like an electronic journal of my thoughts. Things that I've reflected on in the past. I've always been a huge advocate of reflecting on, events that have happened to me. In just about every event in our lives, there's a lesson there to be learned, right? Do we heed that lesson, or do we just turn the other way and move on with our lives? I think it's important to heed the lesson and try to stop and think, okay, this means something in my journey. What does it mean? Right? So I wanted an electronic journal to journal my journey. Try to say that fast 5 times. That's hard. And so I'm a horrible handwriter. Okay. I mean, my handwriting is horrible, and, I'm left-handed. It's just bad handwriting. So I'm a faster typer, and it's more legible. So I would just put my thoughts, in my blog. And so over time, from 2013 to 2018, it evolved to a podcast. Some of you know that, I have an interest in voiceover, and I am a voiceover talent. I've done an audiobook just recently, like less than a year, and of course have had different clients for different projects and so forth. Even my day job, they hire me for different voiceover narrations and narratives. So putting that love for recording audio and voiceover with the love that I have for reflecting on life lessons, my own personal growth, I put those two together to create the podcast, right? And I still maintain the blog to this day. And when I get a chance, I'm going to throw the blog link on the chat. In fact, I will do that right now. And I'm sorry for tilting my head like this. Just want to make sure I get this. All right. We're going to copy, and I'm going to post it in the chat. Okay. There we go. All right. So if you want to look at the blog, feel free to. It's right there. The link's in the chat. And let's see. We have Keith Rothenberg. Hey, Keith. So good to hear from you, man. We've had some. You and I, we've worked together a bit at Toyota. And so thank you for your support in following me and following the show. Really appreciate the support, Keith. And Keith, your road to rediscovery. Let's see. Keith says that his is taking more time to focus on himself and not get distracted by all the noise. Isn't that so true, man? There's so much noise in this world. And, another contributor to the noise, in my opinion, is, and dare I say it with my background, dare I say it, that's right, technology. Technology, social media, and here we are, right? I know it's pretty ironic, but social media and technology, can we regulate ourselves, right? To get immersed only to a point to where it's of value and productive and supplements what we're doing, not replace what we're doing, right? And so to me, technology, social media, and all that, it can contribute to the noise if we let it, right? So Keith, thank you for that, man. I really, really appreciate it. And for those of you who just joined this live broadcast, uh, the question on the table is, what is your road to rediscovery? Okay, so thanks again, Keith, for that. And want to keep moving here with just how the podcast got started. Right, shared with you, 2013, started as a blog. In 2018, put my love for voiceover recording and blogging together to create the podcast. And from there, I just started having solo episodes talking about my own journey, hangups that I had in high school. Okay, feeling of anxiety and wanting to be accepted and just worried whether or not I would be accepted. Always wanted to be a part of a group, right? Not really secure in who I was. And I know teenagers, those are awkward years, middle school especially. But in high school, you start to fall into your cliques, right? You start to realize and slowly evolve into knowing or learning who you are. I wasn't there, So my early episodes were solo episodes talking about things like that. I try to open myself up and not just talking about those hangups, but as an adult in reflection, what have I learned from those, and how have I applied it to my growth as an adult? And so in releasing and publishing those solo episodes, I've had people reach out to me and say, "Hey, Aubrey, man, thank you so much for sharing, what you had to wrestle with within yourself in your high school years. I've had something similar when I was in high school." And then I would respond back and say, "Hey, first off, thanks for listening to the show, to the episode. And secondly, how would you like to come on and share your story, and what you dealt with and how you dealt with it?" And so they'd come on to the show. And then a few weeks later, I'd get another email from someone. "Hey, thanks for this. I had a similar situation." And so I'd ask them, "Well, how would you like to come onto the show?" And then they'd come on the show. And slowly, organically, it just snowballed into now where I can truly, literally say without exaggeration that the road to rediscovery consists of 5% solo episodes, just me, and 95% interviews, guests, amazing guests with amazing stories, which we'll get to in a minute on a few notables. Okay. So, again, that's just how it kind of evolved over time. And when I decided to record my first podcast episode, um, me, I have, if you know me, I try to find creative titles, creative ways. At least when I first started, I tried to find and create just just left of center, different titles that are catchy, titles that people will remember, and that sort of thing. So, with that said, the title of my first podcast episode, number one in this journey, all right, was released on March 20th, 2018. And the name of the episode is called Taking the Plunge. And what was it about? just as it sounds, right? It was about me taking the plunge, stopping the procrastination, and getting my feet wet into the water in this world we call podcasting, right? People have been doing it years and maybe even decades, before me, and there's people who've started after me. I had to make the decision for myself, you know, when was I going to start and what direction did I want it to go in? When I first started, it was just I'm going to go with the flow, see where the current carries me, right? And to some degree, I'm still like that, kind of carefree. But from a time and value sense, I'm more cerebral in terms of moving with purpose, in directions with purpose. So that was the first episode, taking the plunge. Now, my first interview came, I think it was episode 9, episode 10, and it was with motivational speaker Mel Andre. And she is a tremendous motivational speaker out of Southern California. She was gracious enough to be my first guest, and I'm very, very eternally grateful for her willingness. And that was a great conversation. Great conversation. Um, I want to give some notable episodes to a couple of them were solo episodes, and then there were some notable guests that I've had on the show that had some amazing stories. All my guests have amazing stories. Okay, these are just a few I wanted to point out to give you a glimpse or an example into what what the message is behind the road to rediscovery. And all my guests represent that message, but these are just some that I picked to share with you. Okay, so two solo episodes that happen to get a lot of visibility, I'll say, weren't really about overcoming obstacles. They were about, quite simply, music. We all love music, right? If you learn early on in grade school, you learned that music is called what? That's right. It's called the universal language. No matter what part of the world you're from, when you hear music, okay, it's something we all can identify with. It's something we all can relate to. And so I tied music into two important episodes. The first one was called The Top 5 Sad Songs of Your Past. Okay. Music can be our life's soundtrack. And so I share my top 5 songs that I relate to in my past that were associated with sad events. Okay. And so, I talk about that and I go from number 5 to number 1. And that's gotten a lot of visibility, but we all can identify with a song, a sad song, that associates us with a sad event, whether it was a loss of a loved one or the breakup of a relationship, maybe even a divorce, a loss of your pet, or just a sad time in your life when things weren't going right and it was hard to find your way. So, we all can identify to that. So that was one episode, and another solo episode on the flip side was called, let's see, The Top 5 Love Songs of Your Past. Both episodes were released in February of 2019. And so, as you can guess, the top 5 love songs, it relates to love songs in your life, that you can relate to a particular event or time in your journey, right? So, the I had 5 love songs, and I went from number 5 to number 1. And a lot of those were when I was in the early stages of a relationship, a girlfriend, my current wife, just different times, and one of those, if I may point out, and I'm going to point out a sad song too, one that really, really resonated with me out of the top 5 love songs is Billy Joel's "Just the Way You Are." Absolutely brilliant, brilliant. And then out of the top five sad songs, one song that resonated with me, and I'm not sure if many of you will know this group or the song, but the song is called "It's Over," and it's by Level 42. Okay, they've reached fame back in the 80s, but Level 42 had a song called "It's Over," and it was heartbreaking, so sad, and it related to a sad point in my life. All right. So let's see. My man, Jimmy IV. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Sad songs almost don't count by Brandy. Oh, that's a good one, man. Yeah, that's reaching into the vault a little bit, brother. That's reaching into the vault, Jimmy IV. But yeah, yeah, almost doesn't count. My goodness, yeah, that's a good one. In fact, whew, that kind of inspires me to maybe download that off of iTunes, onto my phone for sure. I haven't heard that in a minute. Not in a minute. All right. So those are two particular solo episodes that that I like to point out. Other solo episodes, I do talk about overcoming adversities based on my own personal experiences. I had a problem for years with what I've called comparative thinking. And comparative thinking is basically when you go about your life and you are always comparing yourself with the person next to you or peers, like, um, am I where I should be for my age and for my demographic? And then how do I measure up with my peers? And you get so wrapped up in that, it can consume you. It's poison. And that comparative thinking, you really don't want to do. And I was mired in that for years. And I share that as an episode. And then I have an episode of how to receive criticism constructively. You can give criticism constructively, but you must also receive criticism constructively. And then different questions you can ask yourself to discern, is someone giving you advice in a constructive manner where they are truly empathetic and compassionate for your growth, or are they just bashing you down? Right. So those are two other solo episodes I wanted to share. Jimmy IV shared a love song here. Let's see. "Spend My Life with You" by Eric Benet. That's a beautiful, beautiful tune. "Spend My Life with You." Yeah, yeah. Another to-do song to download off of Apple Music. No doubt, man. Thanks for sharing that love song, Jimmy IV, and the sad song for sure. Anyone else wants to share a love song or a sad song that resonated with them in their journey in their lives? Feel free to throw it in the chat. All right. Okay, now I want to talk about some guests. Certain guests, well, all guests are amazing. They have extraordinary stories, and I am truly, in my heart of hearts, grateful for every single guest that I've had on the show to give me a chance, take a chance on me in spreading their message. I don't take that lightly at all. And I'm truly, truly grateful for all of my guests who have come on from all over the world. Here's a few guests that I want to share of overcoming seemingly insurmountable adversities. Okay. I'm going to start with a gentleman from England named Ben Clinch. Ben Clinch. This guy has had an amazing journey. He suffered a tragic car accident while vacationing in Haiti. He was on holiday with his girlfriend. Unfortunately, the accident killed his girlfriend and left Ben with major brain injury. So he had to go through some serious reconstructive surgery and brain surgery. And after doing that, he decided, he's not going to be, he may be down, but he's not out. Okay. And he can rise up from this. Ben finished his second master's degree following this tragedy. He finished his second master's degree, ran a marathon, authored a book, and has given a TED talk. Okay. His book is called Ben Again, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Ben has an amazing story, and obviously, you can catch Ben's story in our episode that we have on the show. Tony Jacobson was another extraordinary individual. Tony was born with a rare bone disorder. He had over 70 bone breaks, 12 surgeries, and 4 steel rods. Um, Now, Tony is a champion. He's a champion for the fit lifestyle. He's written a book and he hosts his own podcast. An amazing individual, such a light and bubbly personality, very positive, full of energy. And I have to admit, during that interview, I was kind of confused. I had to ask him, after 70 breaks, and you are now advocating for the healthy and fit lifestyle, which requires exercise. You know, how do you navigate around that to prevent future breaks and still be fit? You know, and his answer, very profound and full of wisdom, full of insight. So I recommend you check out that episode as well. That conversation, great conversation. And then, of course, there's Ruchi Singh. Ruchi Singh from India, married a gentleman from Australia, moved to Australia. She is currently a public speaker and mind coach, but it didn't begin that way. She suffered and survived life-threatening domestic abuse. Okay, and her story is very compelling. Her husband goes into the other room, gets a gun, brings it back into the room she's in, and then she carries it from there and explains what happened. And she has, of course, risen way above that, taken control of her own life. Now she gives keynotes around the world as an advocate to stop abuse and promote women's empowerment. She has a huge presence in LinkedIn. So I recommend, if you can search for Ruchi Singh, RUCHISINGH. The different posts she has and everything is truly tremendous. It really is. And then we're kind of meander into Hollywood a little bit and talk about my interview with Eric Roberts. Some of you may know Eric Roberts as Julia Roberts' brother, but Eric, in his own right, very, very accomplished actor. Those of you who have watched the Expendables, right? The Expendables franchise with, I guess, Terry Crews, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme, of course, all headed by, I said Sylvester Stallone. And there's a bunch of other tough guys. I think, let's see, the gentleman from the Transporter, never remember his name. He was on there. And of course, as the antagonist, the bad guy, Eric Roberts was on there. How many of you know that Eric Roberts was an Academy Award nominee for the 1986 film Runaway Train with Jon Voight? Yeah, so he was a nominee in that film for supporting actor. I had a great time talking with Eric and his wife Eliza, just talking about the ups and downs of life. Some of the dynamics when it comes to being a celebrity, a celebrated individual in TV and film, and just some of the things that happen in life, even at the level of celebrity status, that brings you to earth, that humbles you, right? So Eric and Eliza, they share some tremendous insight on that. And then I believe this is the last guest I wanted to point out real quick, is Mr. Tommy Chong of Cheech and Chong. Yes, that's right. I had the opportunity of chatting with him, and there were some things I didn't know about Tommy Chong, before talking with him and meeting him. I knew he was an actor. I've seen Up in Smoke. I've seen, I think, what's Nice Dreams and Still Smoking, and seen all that. I knew he was a comedian. I didn't know he was a musician and had a band, and that's really how they started, right? He's from Canada. We talk about his early struggles, the early years with the band, and then, of course, I think he was in Alberta first. From Alberta, and then him and the band moved to Vancouver, and that's where I think that's where he met Diana Ross, a lot of Motown musicians and everything, and so he's got a very very involved, deep story that touches just all sorts of things, right? We talk about racism, we talk about hatred, we talk about, just how times were back in the 60s and 70s, when it came to, just guys in his band and some of the challenges in playing gigs, and he's very open about that. He's also open about his viewpoints on the need for access, for people to have access to medical cannabis. And he has his own business where, he sells, I think, gummies. But anyhow, that was a very interesting conversation. He even picks on me a little bit in the beginning, as you will hear if you tune into that episode. So, yeah, those are just some examples of some of the guests that I've had on the show. A lot of tremendous guests, a lot of amazing stories. And I couldn't be more grateful for having these people on the show. And so, with guest after guest, and then a few sprinkled solo episodes here and there, we get to 2019. And in October of 2019, I wanted to release a certain type of medium or publication that wasn't just audio, that wasn't just an episode, right? But it was something that that people can actually take away and look at and read and apply. So I created a 3-book ebook series called the Wellness Alignment Series. And so in each of them, I talk about just the concept of just getting in touch with your wellness practices, right? Such as meditation, mindful breathing, great uh, studying and practicing gratefulness, gratuity, right? Just being grateful for the simple things in life, shelter, um, food, clothing, those types of things, and using those wellness practices on a consistent basis to support your life goals, right? Aligning your wellness with your goals, such as a better career, a strong relationship. They do align. And in the 3 ebook series, we talk about the first of the series is meditation and mindful breathing, and then physical activity is number 2, and of course, laughter is number 3. And for those of you who know me, I do love to laugh. I truly do. And so we talk about laughter as that's a form of wellness. Okay, you can't take life too seriously. You have to laugh sometimes at some of the mistakes we make as humans, right? And that's okay. That's so much better than beating yourself up over it. Now, if there's a mistake, there's a mistake. If there's serious implications, we as adults must deal with it. But something that's just kind of, I don't know, kind of very light, not so impactful. Like here's a good idea. Here's a great example. I was leaving this morning to go get my tires rotated on my truck. Okay. And I got all my stuff together, had my cell phone, my keys, had everything I needed. And I get in the truck and I'm about to start it. And I realized I forgot my wallet. And so I had to go back in to the house and get the wallet. Well, can't help but laugh at myself for that because I spent so much time focusing on getting ready and making sure I have everything, only to find that when I got in my truck, I didn't, So again, can't beat myself over that, and it's not like it happens every time. I can't even think of the last time I forgot my watch or my wallet when leaving somewhere. So anyhow, laughter is that number 3 in the ebook series. And following the ebook series, that's a couple years later, in July of 2021, it took a lot of work, a lot of toil, blood, sweat, and tears. But I decided to incorporate a third element of my passions, and that is instructional design. Knowing those of you knowing me, I am in the world of talent development. And so talent development has so many different aspects. And one of those aspects that was an expertise of mine was, and still is, um, instructional design. So I took my instructional design experience and developed an e-learning course. Okay, so it's a digital course, and it's called the Rediscovery Roadmap. And we talk about in that digital course the 4 pillars to personal growth. And the 4 pillars? Come on, say it with me now. There's gratitude, humility, self awareness, and service to others. Yeah. And we take a deep dive into each of those pillars, and we talk about, what does it mean to have self awareness? What are some of the ways you can engage whether or not you have self awareness? And if you don't, what are some things you can start to explore to obtain self awareness? And we do the same for each of the pillars. And then at the end, I have commitment cards. The commitment cards are, just what do you commit to yourself to become more humble, to become more grateful, and those sorts of things. And it's an awesome course. It really is. And so I'm very proud of it. I released it in July of 2021. If you would like the link to that course, I'll throw it up in the chat here. I think maybe the first part of the first chapter is a free glimpse into several things, talking about the pillars, and then from there, it's a paywall for sure. So anyhow, I'm proud of the ebook series. I'm proud of the Rediscovery Roadmap digital course, and again, spreading those tentacles, right? The tentacles of not just being one dimensional as a podcast, but having an ebook, having a digital course, right? And of course, having this live broadcast is my way of humbly saying thank you. Thank you for your listenership, for your support. Okay. It's all those things together, without a doubt. If you don't mind, I'd like to read just a few of the congratulations from guests and listeners. We'll start with Kelly Motley of Nashville. She says, "Yes, love your podcast, Aubrey. Congratulations." Thank you so much, Kelly. Kelly was a guest on the show. Absolutely extraordinary. She has a way of overcoming her adversities and things that cause her anxiety and anger and so forth with boxing. So she had some great insights on how you can use that in a healthy way to release stress. And then, of course, Dr. Nelson Beltajar. Congratulations, AJ. Celebrate and enjoy, brother. Thank you, Nelson, brother. I appreciate you very much. And then Chris Eldridge, high school friend of Port Richey, Florida. Woohoo. Congrats, my friend. And thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate your support and your listenership. And Kelly Woods, who is the coach and founder of My Authentic Life. She's on LinkedIn as well. If you search for Kelly Woods, you can really find some insightful and compelling anecdotes that she shares, to empower others. Wow, Aubrey, 200 episodes. Congratulations. What an accomplishment. Excuse me. And thank you so much, Kelly. Really appreciate you. And then Christina Russell. I see the show is still going strong. 200 episodes. Congrats. That's a great accomplishment. Thank you, Christina. Thank you. And then I have my brother in podcasting, Mr. Jimmy IV, who sent a congratulatory audio. Pardon me. And I'm going to take a quick sip of water. And I'm going to see if we could play Jimmy IV's audio and see if you can hear this. So again, bear with me. It's not very frequent that I stream live. So let me get to here. And all right, here we go. Let's see if we can hear Mr. Jimmy IV's congratulations.
This is Jimmy IV from the Sexy Cool Lounge podcast. And I'd like to congratulate my fellow podcaster and someone that I consider a big brother, Aubrey Johnson, on reaching the 200th club episode, right? Brother, your dedication, enthusiasm, and insight are truly inspiring, man. Job well done, my friend. Listen, may you have continued success, publish many more episodes, and shine bright as you radiate your vibe in the universe, man. Love you. So proud of you, man. Congratulations. This is Jimmy IV from the...
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much, man. I think that's pretty much all I had to share. Oh yeah, I want to share what's happening in the future for the Road to Rediscovery, right? We're gonna keep churning out great guests, great episodes, great stories. Okay, stories that will help people who are struggling with growth, with reflection, right? With the 4 pillars: self-awareness, gratitude, humility, service to others. We're going to keep moving on this. Another thing I want to share, and I think I may have shared this in my Facebook group and in other mediums, this time next week, I release episodes every Thursday. This time next week, the Road to Rediscovery is converting into a subscription service platform. Okay. So what that means is there's still going to be episodes for non-subscribers. Okay. But it's only a part of that conversation, a part of that episode. And for $5 a month or $50 a year, anyone can subscribe to hear the full conversation. In addition to that, you'll have the opportunity to ask me any question you want about my journey, about a guest. You also get a special exclusive invitation to the Facebook group to interact with my guests. All my guests will be on that Facebook group, and you get some pretty cool swag, some real cool swag that I'll be sending your way. And you get the ebook series I talked about earlier. You get that ebook series for free. When you subscribe, you'll get an email welcoming you, and there'll be a link that will take you to a screen where you can download that ebook series. And let's see, there was one other thing. What was it? Said, ask me anything. Facebook group. Oh yeah, there's bonus episodes too. Yeah, bonus episodes. For those of you who don't know, I am a lover of jazz music. Okay, a huge jazz music fan. I mean, I played jazz saxophone in high school, and I've always held it near and dear to me. Okay, when I lived in Cincinnati some years ago, I created a forum, and that forum was called the Jazz Half. And the Jazz Half was a forum in which I built the website, and I would go to jazz shows throughout Cincinnati, and I would review the shows, and I would place them on my website. And I would take pictures, I would shoot video, and I would have exclusive interviews with the artists. A lot of them were local. I don't want to say local, but a lot of them were from Cincinnati who play jazz throughout Cincinnati. And there were a lot of international jazz artists. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because, to me, that's archived gold. Okay. Talking about from 2007 to 2012. And I will have several of those really, really good episodes and those really good interviews with the jazz musicians on the subscription service, where you can really hear, their take on jazz, how they got started on jazz, and that sort of thing. So if you're a jazz lover, you will have access to those interviews. Tia Fuller, who's a great saxophonist who toured not once but twice with Beyonce. I interviewed her twice, and yes, you'll hear that interview on the subscription side as well. So anyhow, I'm getting close to signing off. It's has been almost or close to an hour. I hope you will continue this journey with me as I step into this next chapter of the road to rediscovery. And I'm really grateful for your listenership. I'm really grateful for your support. And look, I'm an open book, and I don't have all the answers. Okay, I am open to feedback. Any feedback you have on something that you'd like to see different or something I can do better, please let me know. Please let me know. My day job, I work for Toyota North America, and the philosophy of Toyota is respect for people and continuous improvement. We can always improve, and I'm always trying to look for ways to improve, whether it's something I come up with myself or whether it's due to constructive feedback that I receive from amazing people such as yourselves. I'm always open to that. Road to Rediscovery podcast at gmail.com. Shoot me an email, or you can shoot me a chat or a DM on any of these social mediums. All right, guys. I think that's all I had to share. I want to appreciate and thank those who have chimed in on the chat. Really appreciate this. This celebration episode is going to be, it is recorded, and it will be on the subscriber side of the show. Just, for future reference. Always open to feedback. I love every single one of you, from the listeners to the guests, and even the PR firms that reach out to me with amazing guests. And a lot of connections have been made, and I am looking forward to a lot more connections being made in the future. So, guys, again, I love you all. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the road to rediscovery. Thanks. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Road to Rediscovery. We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email at roadtorediscoverypodcast@gmail.com and leave us any questions or comments you may have.